Cartoons are something we all share. Remember that Saturday morning routine? You know, cereal in hand with cartoons playing on the TV? It's just pure nostalgia. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that it's one of life's most notable treasures, and a huge part of the magic has to be the characters. They make cartoons unforgettable, and for a lot of us, seeing black characters in particular truly meant something. So I just wanted to take a little time to talk about some of the black characters that I personally believe are just cool as shit, man. And seeing as how I'm, well, you know, black, this is a rather important topic for me. So yeah, black characters in cartoons, everyone. I want to start by saying that representation matters. Characters like Static Shock, Number 5, Gerald, Penny Proud, Huey and Riley Freeman, and Cyborg paved the way, showing that people of color belong in these stories and that their experiences are just as important as anyone else's. And while I do love the OGs, I always notice that when videos like these are made, it's usually those same names getting all the love. Now, don't get me wrong, they're important and absolutely deserve respect for laying the groundwork, but the timeline doesn't just stop. Modern characters continue to build on that legacy. So I just want to take time to put a spotlight on some of my favorite ones. But before we start, who's the first black character you remember seeing growing up? Let me know in the comments. To begin, I'd like to talk about Garnet from Steven Universe. Now, she isn't explicitly stated to be black, but come on bruh, look at them hips, look at them curves, look at the hair, they don't lie. I mean, she represents black identity through voice, presence, and emotional depth. Garnet's actually one of the most important figures in animation today, not only because of how she looks or sounds, but because of what she embodies. For many viewers, especially people of color, seeing a character like Garnet who's inherently powerful offers a rare form of affirmation. She quite literally reshapes long-standing patterns by being a leader everyone relies on. I genuinely appreciate that she isn't just one that appears in her respective story. She anchors it. We can also talk about what she contributes to the idea of identity itself. Her existence is deadass built on the concepts of unity, balance, and love, and it resonates deeply with themes of self-acceptance. Garnet is important to how representation is understood, not as a surface level detail, but as a lived presence woven into the very structure of who she is. She's one of those characters whose impact goes way beyond their own story, and that's why she's so beloved. Someone I hear people mentioning in a somewhat similar vein, is Ekko from Arcane, but I have yet to actually watch the show. From everything I've heard though, he's an incredible character, and that alone says a lot about where representation is currently. Let's shift gears for a second, because not every kind of representation is intense and or full of energy, and that brings me to Marshall Lee. Not this one. Man, look, I love Marshall Lee. I like how he gets to simply exist as a black coded character in a magical setting. Like, that type of effortless inclusion is something that's taken animation a long time to do well. What I love most about Marshall Lee, however, is how his connection with music is portrayed. Early on in Fionna and Cake, music kind of feels like a persona, you know, like how he communicates style and shit. But later in the series, specifically season 2, it became more of a reflection of who he actually is. It was through his past experiences with the Ice Queen that music first gave him a sense of true freedom, becoming the lens through which he processed life itself, which contrasts sharply with his relationship with his mother and the weight of the constant pressure he feels to live up to nearly impossible standards. We can also talk about his relationship with Gary and how it creates a safe space for them. Their relationship feels like the most natural thing I've seen in years. It's not just a gay relationship for the sake of inclusion. Their relationship actually feels like a living, thriving thing between two people. I swear, Fionna and Cake executes this nigga's journey damn near perfectly. He's very similar to Garnet in that instance. Okay, everyone close your eyes. Alright, now open them. Boom! Gus from the Owl House. Don't question it, the universe has spoken. Okay, so I rocks with Gus. I rocks with the Owl House. It's probably a top 5 Disney show of all time for me personally. And when it comes to Gus specifically, I wholeheartedly enjoyed his development. The progressions of a prodigy is always interesting to me because there's only a few ways you can go about doing it correctly. With Gus, it was through the means of his illusion magic. In the beginning of the series, he uses it in a playful and shallow manner. At this point for him, it's mostly about what people can see. As Gus begins to mature, he begins to understand that the depths of illusion magic is more than just visualization, it's also psychological. His illusions begin to affect memory, awareness, and emotional perception. Later in the series, Gus displays the most beautiful use of an illusion technique I think I've ever seen in any form of media. His magic becomes so overwhelming in scale that he's able to project internal experiences onto others, which is technically manipulating reality as the mind understands it, and I just found that shit to be so cool. Like he's just able to create these fully immersive mental environments, and the people that are inside these illusions experience emotions and sensations revelations and memories. The beauty in all of this though is that his magic mirrors his personal growth. He evolves from a playful and curious child into someone emotionally perceptive, and in doing so, he surpasses expectations and stands apart from the conventional illusionary magic user. He shows that people of color can indeed be emotional without shame. At the same time, his place in the story reveals a broader trend. Have you noticed that every character I've discussed so far is in a supporting role? Like, their presence is meaningful, undeniably so, but representation doesn't just stop at support. People of color are more than capable of leading entire narratives, and some already do. Consider, for instance, Lunella Lafayette, aka Moon Girl, a 13-year-old genius that doubles as an inventor. She shows kids that curiosity, creativity, and thinking differently are superpowers, and she's by far one of my favorite modern representations for black people. I'm talking top 3 for sure. I think my favorite part of her kid is that she's not just smart for a kid. She's canonically one of the most intelligent characters in all of Marvel, and some may argue that she's number 1. B, she's messy, anxious, stubborn, and even wrong sometimes, but it doesn't make her any less worthy of being a hero. And C, I can't stress this shit enough, oppression isn't her entire character. The same could be said for any of the characters I've mentioned thus far really, but like, her world does actually tackle racism. It just isn't necessarily her character's narrative. Her conflicts are more internal. Think identity, responsibility, and fear of isolation. Equally important is her relationship with Devil Dinosaur. I like how they have more of an understood partnership rather than pet and owner. Their connection is rooted in them being outsiders. Lunella feels out of place because she's a genius, and Devil Dinosaur is literally out of time. He's a creature from another era trying to survive in modern New York, and it's that shared sense of not belonging that makes this relationship feel so authentic. All of these things help in not making her seem like a caricature of a black kid. She actually feels alive and well written, and it's something that's necessary to have in the black space. Let's continue. You deadass cannot talk modern representation without mentioning Craig Williams Jr. Hell, without mentioning Craig of the Creek as a whole. But in regards to Craig the character, I think he represents something that isn't really shown enough: black joy. His adventures around the creek are driven by the purest forms of imagination. Something I found to be really special though is that behind the scenes, the show's creators Matt Bernin and Ben Levin, yes, they're white, but their experiences working on Steven Universe absolutely helped them in showcasing representation in the series. Anyway, the thing I found to be really special is the fact that the show's creators provided a space for black voice actors, writers, and animators to shine. Fun fact: Craig of the Creek actually had the most black writers of any show in Cartoon Network history. It was crucial for creating an opportunity that led to some of those same writers becoming even more successful. The show wouldn't have been nearly as good without them. It's funny because Craig of the Creek is arguably the most rich in diversity of any show ever. Like, there's inclusion for anything you could possibly think of. I'm talking religion, sexual orientation, social standings, politics, physical appearances and disabilities, language barriers, and more. That wide spectrum of human experience is what makes his presence, not in just a black space, but of any space, feel layered and lifelike. That's exactly what makes Kipo stand out too. But it's another one of those things where I can't really mention her without talking about the series she's from as a whole. Kipo in the Age of the Wonderbeasts is another one of those shows that's full of amazing characters that also happen to be black. I actually recently just binged this series and I was legitimately impressed from beginning to end. I recommend this to everybody, man. Y'all get on that. Now, like Marshall Lee, Kipo is another character that simply gets to exist in her story while simultaneously being black. And she's actually mixed race, but still black. If anything, it just brings another form of identity to the screen. Kipo's narrative explores embracing parts of herself that may feel different, and over time, what may have felt confusing begins to feel meaningful, necessary even. Through this journey, Kipo learns that her unique qualities aren't just obstacles for her to overcome. They give way to how she navigates a world that oftentimes feels bigger than she is. Her story reinforces a powerful message for viewers and such. It invites audiences a chance to see themselves as heroes of their own story, capable of shaping the world around them while staying true to who they are. That kind of thoughtful construction isn't just limited to stories involving a big adventure of sorts. Even in more comedic worlds, we see a similar depth with characters like Hazel from the reboot of the Fairly OddParents. She genuinely offers us some of the best character characterization we've gotten from that series in a long time. Honestly, the show deserved better, but Hazel proved that even a familiar series can still deliver meaningful characters. This is actually pretty dope, because historically, black characters depicted in comedic series are often reduced to being one-dimensional. Your louds, your sassies, your over-the-tops. Hazel steps outside of a pattern in a way that feels intentional. She isn't just used for comedic purposes. The story moves with her emotionally. Again, it may seem minor, but it completely changes how the audience connects with her, and it feels way more natural this way. Look, listen, I honestly feel as if I can't do these characters justice enough. It's damn near impossible to relegate each of their stories into a mere few paragraphs. It's even harder to explain the impact they have when it comes to representation in general. More than anything though, I just had to show love to these modern characters, but it's really the classics that made it all possible. And to think that there are so many other characters that I didn't talk about that had a hand in bringing our stories to life. Like, I haven't even mentioned characters from video games, anime, movies, sitcoms, and the many other cartoons out there. And that's insane to me. Like, no single conversation can hold all that. No single list can capture every contribution. There will always be more games, more stories, and more performances that mean something deeply to someone somewhere, but maybe that's the beauty of it. I don't know. I guess I can just say that I'm really grateful, man. Grateful to have all of this, because representation isn't just a single moment. It's a continuum, and everyone a part of it, past or present, is part of a legacy that's still being written. So, thank you. If you found this video to be cool in any way, share it with someone who grew up watching cartoons. Let's keep this conversation going. Oh, and don't forget to pour your milk first. We out, y'all.